What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome in, everybody. This is the Jaime Dee Show live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 12 p.m. PST out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and live on WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM every Monday through Friday from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. CST. Let's ring that bell. Oh, yeah, we're also live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook at The Jaime Dee Show. That's spelled TheJaimeDeeshow. And we're also streaming live on Instagram right now at It's Jaime Dee. I'm super excited to have you guys all listening in. If you're in your cars, thank you so much for not turning your radio dial. And if you're live right now with me on the live streaming platforms, I appreciate you. If you want to call in and get into the conversation, it's 847-931-1410. Again, that's 847-931-1410. And as always, if you're not able to call in, I do see your comments on the live streams. I move my hands, move my face. I got you. I will acknowledge what I see. Y'all, I'm super excited for today because for today's show rundown, I'm going to be talking about the daily news, and then we're going to have Richard Fowler. Oh, let me tell you, Richard Fowler. Ooh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This man actually was with me when I was live in Las Vegas, and now I'm live in Vegas and Chicago, and he's back on my live radio show. Super excited to introduce him. Super excited to bring him on. I want you guys to stick around because he has so much to go over with me today, and I want you guys to have a listening ear for today. All right, let's get into some daily news. Okay, as reported by the Daily Herald, Northwestern Medicine and the South Elgin and Countryside Fire Protection District have teamed up to bring life-saving care to stroke patients through a mobile stroke unit. Under the agreement, paramedics would transport stroke victims to a pre-designated parking lot about halfway between South Elgin and Northwestern Medicine Central DuPage Hospital in Winfield, where a staff mobile stroke unit would be waiting. The patient would undergo initial testing, including a CT scan and initial treatment in the mobile stroke unit before being transferred to the hospital for additional tests and treatment. Hospital officials say the mobile unit, which first started serving the immediate area around Northwestern Medicine Central DuPage Hospital in 2017, provides life-saving treatment about 30 minutes faster than traditional ambulance transport. Quote, the earlier you treat the patient, the better the outcome, end quote, said Harris Snokin, medical director of the stroke and neurointerventional surgery programs at Northwestern Medicine Central DuPage Hospital. Quote, patients who get treated right away often go home from the hospital instead of going to a nursing home or rehabilitation. Excuse me, my mouth is tongue-tied today. End quote. The South Elgin and Countryside Fire Protection District serves a 24 square mile area with nearly 30,000 residents. Quote, this unit brings the treatment to the patient, providing a direct connection with neurologists who can identify and confirm or deny if a patient is experiencing a quote. End quote. South Elgin and Countryside Fire Protection District Chief William Lunsinger said, I want you guys to take a listen and watch this video that Northwestern actually came up with to explain this in more detail.
I mean, it's a quantum leap in the way we are looking at stroke today.
I mean, this is a cutting edge of stroke care.
So for every minute that you delay treatment, there's hundreds and thousands and millions of neurons that are not getting enough oxygen, actually dying. The earlier you treat the patient, the outcomes will be much better for that patient. And sometimes these patients, if you can treat them early enough, they can actually go back home instead of going to a rehab unit. We are the first IDPH approved mobile stroke unit in the state of Illinois. And that tells you there was commitment, there was passion, and everybody was here to do the same thing, trying to save as many stroke patients as they can as quickly as possible. Medicine is changing. The thought of bringing the hospital to the patient never occurred to us 5 years ago, but this is something that, wherever you need rapid treatment, wherever you need treatment where you can actually make a big difference, you rather take the hospital to the patient and initiate the treatment right there, and then you can bring the patient back to the hospital and finish up the rest of the treatment.
Mobile stroke unit is an ambulance that we actually have placed a CAT scan unit into. As everybody knows, if you've had a CAT scan, it's not a light machine. This is a big, circular, heavy device. In the old days, CAT scanners were just so big and the technology was so massive that you could only put it in a room of a hospital. Now we're able to get the images, transport them to a computer, wirelessly send them to the hospital, and then you can make a decision. Our crew will be here 12 hours a day. When that call comes in, they will have a critical care medic, a EMTB medic, a critical care nurse, and then a CT tech. At the same time the local ambulance gets dispatched, we're going to dispatch our mobile stroke unit. So the goal is to either meet the responding EMS vehicle there, or you're going to be there generally 1 to 3 minutes after them. The patient's assessed at their home. We're actually having a board-certified stroke neurologist evaluate the patient via a device called Third Eye Medicine. What that is an encrypted system where there's actually a live feed to our neurologist. If it's determined this looks like a stroke, we bring them into our unit, a CAT scan's performed, and then we make a determination, do they need the clot-busting drug, which is called TPA. If that's determined, then we initiate the therapy right there because it's on the ambulance with us. So our goal is to get the ambulance to the patient, do the CAT scan on their doorstep, and initiate the proper therapy within 20 to 30 minutes. We're averaging about a call to TPA in the hospital about an hour and a half. So there's a potential to cut an hour of time off of somebody's care. And think of how many neurons that could save.
The difference could be whether someone can talk or not talk. The difference could be whether someone can understand what you're saying or not understand.
That's massive. I mean, you know, who doesn't want to walk out of a hospital on their own accord? I mean, that's what it's about. That's why we do this.
Now, talk about amazing technology, amazing advancement, and really having a hospital that cares for you. Shout out to Northwestern Medicine. Shout out to Elgin. Shout out to everyone who has come together to make this a possible reality for stroke patients. I know this is a situation that a lot of people felt like they wouldn't be able to find help from, or feel as though that time between being picked up from the ambulance and being taken to the hospital is that crucial time. Well, now they found a way to make sure that you receive, or the person who is a stroke patient receives the help they need on the way to the hospital. Shout out to them. That's such great work. All right, Gen Zers, which are those who are born anywhere between 1997 and 2012, are really catching fire on social media lately. Some of it is self-inflicting because they are the ones telling it all on social media, and then people stitch their videos. And for those who don't know what that means that someone will take that creator's video, create a whole new video with the original video in it, and include their reaction video behind that video they took. I've recently seen a video about why Gen Zers look older than millennials, and it had me cackling. They were saying it's because of the stress. Like, we all don't have the same dang stress. I want to know what stress Gen Zers have more than millennials. Because when I tell you I'm stressed, I'm looking at my producer, Matt. Are you stressed? He said, yeah, it's at times. And listen, Matt's younger than me. Let me tell y'all, I don't see the difference. We got a lot of stuff going on. But there's this new video of what Gen Zers are bringing with them in person to job interviews. And when I tell you I gasped, I legit was like, let's watch and listen to this video I pulled from Instagram, courtesy of 997 Now.
You will not believe what Gen Zers are bringing to job interviews. So recent college grads, they're going for their first or second job interview. What are they bringing with them?
I'm going to guess this, Herb, because I was just recently doing a job interview and somebody brought a dog to the interview. So I'm going to go with dog.
Dog, okay. Go ahead and hit him with the incorrect sound. No. Arthur.
I'm going to say mom or dad. They need that support from mom or dad, and they need help. They don't know how to formulate the sentences properly. So I'm going to say a parent.
Take a listen to this.
Nearly 20% of Gen Z applicants brought their mom or dad with them to a job interview?
No way. That's a lie. There's no way.
1 in 5 Gen Zers are bringing a parent to a job interview.
Inside of the interview?
Yes.
Do they sit outside, like in the lobby, and wait for them?
In the room to the interview. Mom or dad's not just dropping them off. They're coming inside and sitting with them. This is helicopter parenting at its finest.
Yes.
Parents, I put this on you. If my daughter asked me to go with her to the job interview inside the room, I would just laugh. There's like, I mean, this is a joke, right? You're not serious.
I guess I can't.
When I tell you that's insane, bringing your parent, absolutely not. If I was the interviewer, I would cackle Because why are you bringing your parents to the interview? What are they supposed to do? Like, yeah, my son and my daughter got that. Give them the job. I know because I raised this child. Like, what? Talk about crazy. Listen, I love Gen Zers. I shout out Gen Zers. I support Gen Zers. They are leading the way for healthy work balance, work flexibility, in-office flexibility, and all those other great things that, unfortunately, those who came before us didn't fight for and just dealt with. I support it. And millennials have been leading that way as well. But there are just some crazy things that Gen Zers do. And I'm just like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Some of the stuff y'all do take it too far. But y'all, we're going to take a quick break. And I'm super excited. Real quick, let me just say this. As a journalist, as a media personality, as a radio personality, as somebody who's a master's in broadcast journalism, I hold myself accountable so you don't have to. Excuse my lack of pronouncing this amazing man's name wrong. Richard Fowler. We're going to have Richard Fowler live on air. When I tell y'all I'm so excited to bring him on, it's like he's expanding with me. So stick around. This man has so much to go with me. Don't go anywhere. This is Jaime Dee Show on KSHP out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and WRMN out of the Elgin and the Chicagoland area. I'll be right back.
A dream that's been cooking for years, Maria's Little Italy in Sycamore is waiting for you to come and enjoy authentic recipes handed down for generations. Stop in and enjoy bruschetta, handmade focaccia bread, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more. Dine in, take out, delivery, or catering is all available. Go to mariaslittleitaly.com and see what you've been missing. From their family to yours, welcome to Maria's Little Italy, where food brings families together.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jaime Dee Show. Woo! Live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 12 p.m. PST out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and live on WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM every Monday through Friday from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. CST out of the Elgin and the Chicagoland area. We're also live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook at The Jaime Dee Show. That's spelled TheJaimeDeeshow. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the link out to your friends, family, and loved ones so they can come in and enjoy the show. Y'all, we are at the best part of the show, and I'm super excited because we get to bring in the incredibly immaculate, extremely resourceful. When I tell you this man is knowledgeable on top of knowledgeable, and he is doing the darn thing in the political space and the social space and more, let me tell you about this amazing man named Richard Fowler. Yep, I said his name right, Richard Fowler. He is a political analyst for BET, a progressive contributor for Fox News. And let me tell you this, not only is he on Fox News, but he is a Black man, and he has other intersectionalities that he presents, that he uses, and that he lives with as he's on Fox News, breaking barriers every day. When I tell you this man deserves his flowers, he deserves every single flower you could think of. He's about to join me live to discuss what's expected for the 2024 presidential election, why he believes more simplified political conversations need to be had, how do we get more people interested in voting, why Black people are turned off from this year's election, and more. So without further ado, let's welcome in Richard Fowler. Woo! What's up, sir? How are you? Oh, I think we're losing you. Can you hear us? You have a little static in the background. Hold on. I know this is a live radio show. Sometimes stuff like this happens. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hey,
oh, now there's an echo in your background. You may have to exit out and come back in, Richard. We aren't able to hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you sound really bad. What we're going to do, we're going to take Richard off and we're going to bring him back in. So as we're waiting for Richard, I want you guys to get into this because one thing I really appreciate and admire about this man is that not only is he on Fox News breaking barriers, not only is he now a political analyst for BET, and not only is he doing so many other things outside of those two things I mentioned, but this man is always staying true to himself. He's always making sure that he's sticking up for the general people and being about the inclusive we, and also being about the actual human. When I say about the actual human, I mean this. When we're talking about life as we know it, there are all these stipulations. There are all these things that you have to live by. There are all these rules, regulations, and laws. And so often are we talking about how You have to be a certain way when you're in this office. You have to be a certain way when you're in this department. You have to be a certain way when you're working this job. And a lot of times that is what's creating the boundary between the common people and you. And that's why there's such a disconnect. And that's why I love seeing him on his shows, really pushing for people to just be people, be regular, live life, and stop living by these stipulations that make you less than because you have a specific position in office. Let's try to bring Richard Fowler back live on the air. I think he got everything fixed. Let's see.
I did.
Now welcome me,
me.
Fowler.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We love to see it. Thank you for coming back. You're back for a second time.
I am, of course. Had to be.
I love this. Look, you were there with me when I was just starting off in Las Vegas. Look, I got expanded, got promoted, and now I'm in 2 major cities. Look at us. We're doing a darn thing.
Listen, you better listen up to the time. You better come up in 2024. I'm here for it.
This is our year. Richard Fowler, thank you so much for joining us live on air today. You are now live in Las Vegas, live in Chicago, live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and Instagram. So there might be people calling in. We're going to have comments live on the air. So if you see me moving around, because I'm trying to check on everything. All right. So we got you live on air. Are you back in the studio or are you at home right now?
I am in my home studio, so I'm in my home office / studio, which is exciting. Last time I think we did this, I was actually at the Fox News studio, which is a couple minutes down the road from here. But I'm actually home today, which is exciting.
Okay, we're home. We'd love to see it. Good to see you as well. Now, we are, because you're with me and I'm here now, we're in new territories. And last time we were in Las Vegas, we had a great introduction of who you were. But now we have new people in a new territory, maybe being introduced to you for the first time. And so I kind of gave them a snippet of who you are. But Richard Fowler, you just got your master's. You're now at BET. You're at Fox News. Tell the people about your journey in journalism and who you truly are.
Oh, for sure, man. Listen, I'm a storyteller, as I tell people. I was born a storyteller. Right. If you ask my godmother, she would tell you that the first thing they bought me was one of those Fisher Price karaoke machine majokers. And I would like walk around in the house and I would like get up on tables and start talking in it. I ran out of batteries eventually on that little thing, but I still was talking to folks. So I'm a storyteller. Now that I think that storytelling has taken on different lanes and different avenues. So obviously I'm a features writer at the Forbes magazine, doing political analyst work, written work for BET.com. Continue as an on-air commentator at the Fox News channel. I'm Jamaican, so I just like adding jobs. I believe in addition and not subtraction. It's true what they say about us. We have many jobs, but it's all in the same mission, to inform, to empower, and to help folks no matter where they live, no matter who they love, no matter what their zip code is or their citizenship status, to be informed, empowered, and get their voice back.
I love that. And the best thing that you said is that you're a storyteller. You have been in this industry for so long. And like we know, there are some stereotypes that are there for a reason because they're fun, they're goofy, and they actually may be true. Jamaicans do get a lot of jobs, but you're doing amazing with all of the careers that you're taking on. And since having you on in Las Vegas, you've gained new, talk about it. You just got your master's and now you're at B. Let's talk about that.
For sure. So yeah, listen, during the pandemic, I don't remember where I was. I think I was like late night doom scrolling. And I saw a person saying, don't leave the pandemic like how you entered the pandemic.
Yep. I saw that.
So as storytellers, what you always want to do is make sure that your storytelling is getting better, right? And how do you hone your storytelling? And for a long time, I never thought that I would want to go back to school. But in this ideal of leaving the pandemic better than I went into the pandemic, I thought, why not make my storytelling better? So I decided to be a student again, and during the pandemic, go back to Georgetown, get my master's degree in journalism, and now I help this is my first. I'm 2 classes in, but this is my. I'm now an adjunct professor at Georgetown, helping other folks tell better stories. So it's exciting.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm going to ring that bell for you because you definitely deserve that. Welcome.
Listen, man, I need to get one of those bells.
Isn't it fun? I love it. Listen, welcome to the Master's Game. Now, I got to throw a little shade at you because, I got my Master's of Broadcast Journalism from the University of Maryland. Again, the University of Maryland, College Park. Nothing better.
Okay, I see you. I see you.
But you were down the street at Georgetown University. I love that. Go to the DMV gang. That's awesome because during your journey, you have been in.
Your taxa. I said Hoya Saxa for those folks who know the mascots.
Yep. So the thing is that through your journey, you have done so many things before you got this master's. Now you have your master's, and more doors are opening up for you. I want to know this: when you're in the political space, do you ever feel as though that people come for you depending on your credibility in journalism?
Look, I actually don't listen. I think no matter what industry you're in, you're gonna have people that come for you. You're gonna have quote unquote haters. I don't really spend time focusing on them. I guess I have some. I don't know who they are. If they are, they can identify themselves.
Period.
I really I'm really laser focused on empowering people, and also I'm also really laser focused on having that real conversation I think is oftentimes missing. Right? I think we live in this really divided country where you have us versus them, and you could be the us or you could be the them. And I try to figure out where is the middle line. Where do we have commonality? Where do people need things to be explained? And let's be honest and realize that many of the things, especially in the political environment, right? Which politics, base word is poly, like policies, laws. A lot of it is there's a lack of understanding, and the lack of understanding is the fact that these things are really complicated. Right. And most folks are living their daily lives. They're trying to take care of their kids. They're trying to raise their families. They're trying to pursue their dreams. And allow me to help explain the policy part to you, so that makes your life a little bit easier instead of you trying to figure out the policy part yourself. So if folks who watch my Instagram lives, folks who read my stories, I try to make my stories and my lives and the work I do explaining things to make things easier for people to understand, because sometimes this city, the nation's capital, can be more complicated than simple.
Richard, I love that you said that, because you just made it super easy for me to segue into this video. Because when you were trying to get back live on the air, one thing I was saying about you is I admire and love the fact that you really are about the people. You make everything common. What you're saying is like, hey, we understand that you're in this position. We understand that there's these stipulations of how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to respond, and how you're supposed to present yourself. But you're creating a barrier and a disconnect between the common people who you're actually supposed to be serving. And I actually want to show a video of you actually telling people that live on air at Fox News. So if you mind, we're going to show a video of you live on.
Here is a note from your sponsors.
My critique to the media, or my advice to the media, is there's a reason why people all across this country are frustrated with this city, because we're over here debating whether or not Donald Trump should be on the ballot, and all across this country people are debating how they're going to put food on the table. They're debating how they're going to make ends meet. So when these candidates are sitting down for interviews, whether it's President Joe Biden, whether it's Ambassador Nikki Haley, the questions the media should be asking them is, how are you going to help the American people put food on the table? And I urge members of the media who get these interviews to ask those questions instead of, how do you feel about January 6th, or how do you feel about that? Because there is where that's why voters are frustrated, and that's why they're actually turning the election off.
Yeah, but
I love that. I love that, because you are holding people accountable. You're saying you're in this position of power. You're supposed to be serving the people. So be the people. Don't be about the people, but be the people. Be who you once were before you got into the position. I love that. And I want you to kind of dive a little bit deeper in that. Why is that kind of one of what I think is your personal missions when you are on live on air talking to other politicians?
I think we as a society, especially in this, we're now currently in an electoral cycle, right? We spent a lot of time obsessing about the candidates and their age, or what they said or what they tweeted, or etc. And remember, the candidates, everybody who is a member of Congress, everybody who's in the United States Senate, the folks who work at the White House, they work for you.
Yep.
Let me repeat that. They work for you. And so our job as journalists, right, and storytellers, when we get the privilege or the opportunity to sit down with these elected officials, is to ask questions, not about the other person and how they tweeted or how old they are, but it's to ask questions about the people that they're responsible for, the people who are signing their paychecks. Right. So if you get an interview and in that clip there, we were talking about for the media, if you're a journalist and you get an interview with Nikki Haley, or you get an interview with Donald Trump, instead of asking them about how you feel about Joe Biden or how you feel about this, I want to know, what's your policy on student loans? I want to know about what's your policy. You say that you think that China is a great foe to the a geopolitical foe to the United States? Well, right now, if you're paying attention to the news and paying attention to the actions of the Chinese government, China is doing a lot of investment in the Caribbean and in Africa. So I want to know what a candidate's plan is to counteract China's behavior in the Caribbean and in Africa, right? If you're a candidate and you say you care, let's even talk about the issue that I think that has a lot of people up at night, right? This issue around our immigration system in the United States and the border. If you're over here saying that you care about the border, then I want you to give me a comprehensive plan. And a comprehensive plan is I don't think a comprehensive plan is let's build a wall. And I don't think a comprehensive plan is we need to, provide citizenship to all the folks that are here undocumented. I think a comprehensive plan exists someplace in the middle, which says we need to preserve the security of our border. But at the same time, we cannot do that without also dealing with the fact that the immigration laws in this country were written years before I was born, and I ain't that old. I'm only 37, right? Okay. So the laws aren't but here's my point. The country and the world has made so much progress in technology and in time. So the idea that we're working off immigration laws that were written 40 years ago when we can use the internet, that's problematic to me. The idea that you have folks who are crossing the border, and when they apply for asylum, they're getting court dates that say you can come see an immigration judge in 2027. That's problematic for me.
Yes, it is.
So the solution can't just be let's secure the border, and the solution can't just be let's have a pathway to citizenship. The solution has to have both of those things combined. And I think part of the problem in our politics has been, people have played political football with so many political issues, and they've created, like I said, this us versus them. And depending upon which side you're on, you could be the us or you could be the them. And as a result, there's a lot of people that feel disengaged, disenchanted. They feel apathetic about the political process. They feel like the political process isn't working for them. And the reason for that has everything to do with the realities that you have two political parties that are at each other's neck, and they're not actually working together to deal with the problems that are actually impacting the American people. And here's what we know to be true. When you think about what's impacting the American people, if you're somebody listening to this show and you're raising a family, you're raising a kid that's under the age of 5, most Americans are spending about, on average, 28% of their salary in childcare costs. It's way too high, right? That's way too high. And so why don't we hear members, elected officials talking about that, and what are some solutions to that problem? If you're in this country and you are trying to achieve the American dream and you have student loan debt, like we talked about, there's a lot of Americans that are paying $300, $400, $500, $600 a month in student loan debt. That's way too high. If you're somebody and you're diabetic, right? Now, Joe Biden has made some progress on decreasing the price of insulin for our senior citizens. So now there's not a senior that pays more than $35 a month for insulin. But if you're not a senior and you're diabetic, many of y'all out there are paying more, some $1,000, some $600, some $800 a month for insulin. That's too much. And we've got to figure out how we solve some of those baseline problems. And I think why people are disengaged in our politics is because they don't hear their elected officials having those type of conversations. And it's on the job of storytellers and media, when we are in the faces of politicians and we interview them, to sort of have that conversation and really sort of force them to answer some of those tough questions and provide solutions to the issues that keep folks up at night.
Richard, you are preaching, because even when I was in Vegas and I would be asked to co-host other shows or join other shows live on the radio and even live on TV out of Las Vegas, and we would have mayoral candidates coming in for Las Vegas, and I would see my co-host or the person who brought me on asking about Donald Trump and asking about this. I'm like, what does that have to do with Vegas? How is that even affecting Vegas now? That happened January 6th of that year. We're not even that's not even affecting Vegas as we're talking to this mayoral candidate right now. And I completely agree. And you have people on YouTube right now, they're like, yes, free us from student loan debt. That's from Jasmine Walker. You have Gigi Chandler who says, yes, get rid of these student loans, help the homeless, put food on tables, do your job, and help the people who put you in your position. You are speaking the truth. Look, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have more of your truth. We're going to have more of you preaching to the choir, all right? So stick around. We'll have you right back on, all right, Richard? All right. Hey, guys, this is the Jaime Dee Show live on KSHP out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and live on WRMN out of the Elgin, the Chicagoland area. Stick around.
WRMN has proudly served the Fox River Valley for over 70 years. We're located at 14 Douglas Avenue in downtown Elgin. Right next to Studio 14 is our store known as the Redemption Center. You are always invited to stop by and see us to live large for less. The Redemption Center is the place to pick up your on-air orders. And grab some brochures to learn about what we have to offer. Our Redemption Center phone number is 847-741-7700.
In the middle of the night, everything will be all right if you listen to Coast right here on WRMN, 7 days a week from midnight to 5 a.m. Each night on Coast to Coast, listeners are captivated by George Noory with discussions on news and current events, conspiracy theories, UFOs, life after death, and all things curious and unexplained. Coast to Coast, every night, midnight to 5 a.m. right here on WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jaime Dee Show. Woo! Live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 12 p.m. PST out of the Las Vegas, Nevada area. And also live on WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM every Monday through Friday from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. CST out of the Elgin, the Chicagoland area. We're also live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook at the Jaime Dee Show. That's spelled TheJaimedee. Wait, T-H-E, I forgot to spell my dang name. TheJaimedeshow. Why everybody laughing at me? My bad, y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the link. All right, y'all. And if you ever want to promote your business, product, service, music, and more, hit us up at info@jaimedee.com. We can guarantee you will get the exposure you want and deserve. All right, let's welcome back in Richard Fowler live on the Jaime Dee Show. Super, super, super excited to have you back on. So, as we left off in the last segment, we're talking about how a lot of these politicians, again, need to be about the people and be the people and talk to them literally at their level. And when we're looking at the 2024 presidential election that's coming up, I want to talk about what is there to expect for this year's presidential election?
Oh, that's a good question. Listen, I will tell y'all this. At the rate that it's going to be a long one.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it this way. In 2020, at this point in time, in 2020, we haven't even had our first primary yet.
Yep.
Right? And at this point in time, it seems very likely that Donald Trump will be the GOP nominee. It's very likely Joe Biden as President Biden as the incumbent will be the Democratic nominee, and we will probably be in for 200. I think the count is, if I'm off the top of the head right now, but I think I'm right, 285 days of a general election, which is a very long time. So I just urge folks out there, I mean, for those of us who have to do this for a living, we have to be in it every day, but pace yourself. But pay attention to what's happening. Pay attention to the issues that you care about. When the candidate, if you live in a battleground state, so for the folks listening to this show who are in Nevada, make sure that when the candidate shows up in your city or shows up in your town, ask the hard questions. Ask them about student loans, right? Ask them about childcare. Ask them about prescription drugs, because they're going to be coming to that state a lot. That's going to be a battleground state. I'm not making any predictions because I think this election we have a long way to go. But I will say it's going to be a very close election, and it's going to be an election where it's going to be about people's base, right? For the Biden campaign, can they reignite the flame that they had in 2020 that got folks to stand in line, that mobilized young people, that engaged African Americans and Latinos to come out and vote in record numbers? And for the Trump campaign, can you win back over the suburban independence that you had in 2016? both folks that you lost in 2020, 2018 and 2020 and 2022 and years after that.
You're right. And one thing I really appreciate you saying is that asking the hard questions when they come into your city. And this leads me to wonder, when you are on Fox News and when you're being a political analyst for BET, you do have some type of creative control, but you still have to answer to somebody. How do you battle against those who are telling you you have to ask these questions or you have to present this way when you know, hey, that's not a part of my mission, because we're trying to ask the actual questions that people want to hear? I mean, you have a job to do at the end of the day, so you can't always say no.
Oh, listen, I just are trying to make sure that I always center my voice. And I'm blessed to say that I work at platforms that when I'm on air, they allow my voice to be centered.
To that. Love that. Love that. And one thing I like about your voice is that, again, it's for the people. You talked about how President Joe Biden has to talk about his achievements and remember to say, hey, I'm doing this for the people. I can do it again. I need you guys to give me time and more. And I actually want to play another video of you on Fox News where you're talking about how a lot of times when it comes to these presidential debates and these interviews that are being had, we are skipping the conversation of what has President President Joe Biden have actually done for the American people, and why hasn't that been put on the pedestal versus all the other drama? So if you take a second, we're going to play this video.
I'm sure if you talk to the folks in the Biden White House, they'll tell you they want to get it lower. So let's just zoom out for a second, right, and talk about the Bidenomics message and what's the problem with it, why House Democrats are pushing back on the president. Instead of having a conversation about Bidenomics, I think what the president needs to do more than ever is a compare and contrast. 2 years ago, the cost of gas was $6, almost $5 to $6 a gallon. 2 years ago, the price of bacon was ridiculously too high. In the time that I've been in the White House, here's what I've been able to do to bring these costs down. They're not where I want them to be, but here's where they are, and there's more work that we can do together to get them there. I think that's the message you need to hear. The good news for the president in this moment is he's going to have a couple of months, and hopefully if the economic indicators move the same way, he could win from that. And let's also point out, a year ago when we were sitting on this set, we were talking about the potential of a recession, which seems more likely not to happen. There's a lot of people, working class families, middle class families, who are having to tighten their belt because of inflation, because of the cost of energy, because of the cost of food, because of the cost of rent, which are all very high. But I think it's worth pointing out in this moment, as we have this conversation, there are some good indicators for the president. We've seen inflation go down. The report came out a couple weeks ago. I think it's down. It's down the lowest we've seen in 2.5 years. We've seen the gas prices go down. What the Biden administration has to do in this moment, to what House Democrats are saying, is dump the word Bidenomics, actually talk to the American people of what they've been able to achieve, whether it be lowering gas prices, whether it be the fact that starting January 1, prescription drugs are going to be lower for seniors. They need to have that conversation, get out of the messaging tank of Bidenomics, and I think they'll see real gains from that. If you don't believe me, just ask Governor Beshear, who won his second term, on having that conversation with the people of Kentucky.
I got a slew of statistics here to set you up, Mary Catherine, that back up to some degree what Richard's been saying here, because here's the state of the economy. According to the Department of Commerce, GDP in Q3 was up 5.2%. Personal income was up 0.2%. Disposable personal income up 0.3%. Consumer spending up 0.2% in October. Fox News poll, though, only 33% of people approve of the way that Biden's looking after the economy. 65% disapprove. And when asked how they would rate the economy, 3% say excellent, 17% say good, 31% only fair, and 47% poor.
Richard, I got to say this. I absolutely love watching you work. You really are in your element when you are live on air.
Thank you.
I got to give you that.
You and this bell. I love it, though.
I got to bring in the energy. So while we were playing that video, we actually did have a question from Jasmine Walker out of Chicago, Illinois. She stated, the Democratic National Convention is being hosted in Chicago this year. Can you educate us about this event and how regular citizens in the Chicagoland area can get involved?
That is a really good question. So yes, she is correct. The Democratic National Convention will be hosted in Chicago. It's about a 4-night-long event. This is an official meeting of the Democratic Party and all of its delegates. It happens every 4 years. At this meeting, there's a couple of things that will take place. The first thing that will take place is the Democratic Party will approve a platform, right? The party platform. And the second thing that the party will do is the party will nominate the president of the United States, or the Democratic nominee, which in all likelihoods will be the sitting president, Joe Biden. How you can get involved. The first thing I would tell you to do is they're going to be definitely looking for volunteers. So I would check out their website. Go to first, the best place to go right now is probably Democrat.org or the Democratic Party's website. And they'll have a link to the DNC's the DNCC, the Democratic Committee's convention. And you can go there. And they'll be definitely looking for volunteers. So go volunteer. They're going to need volunteers, but that's what's going to happen at the event. And at that event, you'll have delegates coming in from all 50 states, the District of Columbia, the Democratic Party, where they will nominate their presidential nominee.
Makes sense. So like you said, get involved, go to the websites, ask questions, call numbers, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're as involved in this political race and election.
And let me add this. If you're somebody and you are a Democrat, also run for delegate, right? You can run to be a delegate. You could also go to their website to find that. Go to your local Democratic committee. So if you're in Illinois, go to the Illinois Democratic Committee or the Chicago Democratic Party and figure out how you can put your name on the ballot and run for delegate.
Love that.
And be part of the process.
Yes, and I agree. I support that, and I backed it up. If you really want to see a change in your communities, you have to be the change you want to see. You have to actually go out there. You have to vote, and you have to get involved as much as possible. Now, this question did come from a Black woman here in Chicago, Illinois, and one thing that I've seen you say on social media and also actually on your most recent article, congratulations, by the way, with BET, is that Black people are turned off from this year's election. I want to talk to you about why that is, because when I'm seeing these Instagram posts about Donald Trump and Biden, I'm actually seeing a lot of people engage in the comments, but we know a lot of people can engage in comments, but won't actually get up and vote.
Look, I think there's a lot of reasons for people to disengage, right? The easy thing to do is to disengage, right? Because you could say that it's not what Joe Biden doesn't affect me. And I think that's actually part of the disconnect, because it's actually as far from the truth as possible. What the president does every day does impact you, and it impacts you in a very real way. If you're somebody who has a school-age child and your kid goes to a school that's an older school building, thanks to the work of the sitting president and the American Rescue Plan, your kid probably got a new HVAC unit over the past 2 years. Thanks to the American Rescue Plan, your kid's school is probably able to hire a school nurse or a librarian or an extra teacher because of money from the American Rescue Plan. If you're listening to me and you're somebody who you are a small business owner and you pay for your own health care, that's something that's directly connected to what happens in the White House, right? First, it was Obamacare. Now it's, the Affordable Care Act, and it's impacting people's daily lives. Every day, there's things that happen at the White House that impact people's daily life. Even if you're somebody who says we need to get rid of student loans, every single day, while the president wasn't able to get rid of discharge of $10,000 of student loans that he wanted to, every single day, the Department of Education is trying to find new ways to forgive student loans. And you could be somebody who is in one of those groups that could get their loans forgiven. So you got to be paying attention. But it's there, like I said, it's so easy to get disengaged because there's so many other things happening in life beyond the fact that you can turn on your television and, watch Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, HBO Max, Showtime. I mean, there's so many other things to do. I would say if there's an issue impacting you somehow, some way, there's probably an elected official that has something to do with it. A lot of the things might not get to the president, but your local elections also too matter, right? If you care about police reform, then you should be paying attention to what's happening in your city council, right? If you care about this new craze that we've seen around banning books, you should pay attention to what's happening in your school boards. All these elected officials impact your life on a daily basis, and oftentimes we don't realize they're impacting us until the damage or the benefits are already done.
One thing that I really appreciated that you said was pay attention. So often we find ourselves just going on social media and going to social media for our news and not going to other sources, not truly paying attention and not doing our own research. I sometimes fall into that when I take off my media hat, take off my radio personality hat. I'm just like, I'm just going to be chilling and figure things out today. I forget that I'm supposed to go out of my way to do my own research. I'm so glad you said that because I think a lot of people need that daily reminder. Now we have Kara out of Arizona who wants to know, is there more information on voting fraud? Is there any added federal laws since the last election?
That's a good question. And now I think voter fraud is a very loaded word, so I would ask for clarity. Now there's been a lot of conversations about like people saying that there has been voter fraud. Based on my reporting and based on the evidence of a lot of other journalists, and actually based on findings from a lot of congressional testimony as well as legislative testimony on the state level, there hasn't been voter fraud. There's no actual evidence of voter fraud. But what we have seen a lot of states do is pass these sort of voter integrity acts. The key word, but listen, never ever judge a bill by its title. Or like they say, never judge a book by its cover. Never judge a bill by its title. I mean, and if you watch my on-air work, I like to read bills. I like to read policy and actually what they do. And many of these laws that were passed to quote unquote end voter fraud actually made it harder for people to vote, especially young people, senior citizens, and folks who are more transient, right? So folks who are, people who might have changed addresses once or twice or three times over a year or 2 year time period. So read these laws and follow them carefully, and make sure you know how they impact you.
Yes, you make a great point about how there are more laws, and sometimes we have to take a step back and see what we're doing and what bills are being put in place that are actually either helping us or hindering us. And you're going to continue doing a lot of great things as you continue in your journey. I actually want to know this. Do you think that you may, by chance, be interviewing any of the presidential candidates or anybody who may be beneficial in this presidential election?
We'll have to wait to see.
Okay. Well, here, I know you said that we don't like talking about this. We got a few more minutes left, but Gina Chandler out of Chicago, Illinois really wants to know, and we did our due diligence by not talking about this, but she wants to know regardless. Hey, this is a little off topic, but does he consider what happened on January 6th, 2020 an insurrection?
That's a good question. All right. So like I said, I live in Washington, D.C. I live about 10 minutes from the Capitol. The Fox News studio is about, I don't know, maybe a block from the Capitol. And the idea that I'm picking my words carefully here, that people left a rally, and there's nothing wrong with rallying. There's nothing wrong with the First Amendment. I believe in it deeply. But that you can disrupt a House meeting, disrupt a Senate meeting, create havoc. I had no friends who worked at the Capitol who were afraid for their lives. I know members of Congress who are running for cover. This is a lot more serious than people made it out to be. And I think anybody who likes to say, I mean, listen, we could play semantics with the words, but I think we have to remember that the United States Capitol is and should be the city upon the hill and the bastion of what a democracy looks like. And when our democracy was in the process of picking a new leader for the first time in its history, those proceedings were stopped and the Capitol was not able to do its job. And just for historical reference, and I'm a history buff, there's actually never been a time in American history that the United States Congress had to go out of session because of a protest or because of a war. Even in the War of 1812, where Washington, D.C. was invaded, the United States Capitol was still in session. The only time the body had to go out of session was on January 6th, 2021. So it is a very serious day. You could use the word insurrection if you would like. You could use another word, but the key point is this. Remember, there's never been a time. You name all the major wars that we've had in this country. Our Capitol and our Congress was always in session. Based on the threat to the lives of our elected officials who we sent there to do our business, and at this particular moment in time, they were doing the business of counting the ballots and certifying the election results, the fact that our our legislative body had to go out of session for its own safety, and our capital was not in control of the United States government, is both wrong, it's problematic, and it speaks. It's a sore eye, it's a black eye in the United States democracy, and it's one of the saddest days in modern day American history.
I agree. January 6, 2021 was definitely a negative and very horribly defining moment for the American people and the American culture. We have 1 minute left, and so I want to give this to Fab Five for Life podcast out of Dallas, Texas. He stated, Americans spent record-breaking amounts of money during the holidays. People have money, but with interest rates high and questionable climate in the presidential race, where should our hope be in the future?
Oh, wow. Listen, man, I think our hope should be, we need to make sure that we make this country better for the generation that comes after it. And for that to be a reality, that's going to require that we're going to have to really do some hard work. And we're going to have to push our elected officials to do some hard work in this Congress and the Congress that comes after. We can't afford to kick the can down the road, and we can't afford to play political football with the biggest issues of our time, including immigration, including higher education, including the fact that we are living in the middle of a nursing shortage. And what we saw during the pandemic was our healthcare system stretched to the limit. Yep. And we can't afford, right now more than ever, if we care about our democracy, if we care about strengthening our national security, then we have to make sure that our healthcare system is working and we have folks in it to make it work.
Richard, we're out of time, but I have to ask this question. I don't care if we're out of time. Would you ever run for office some way, somehow? Because, sir, you're doing it.
No.
What? You would never do it?
No.
Oh.
My job is to be a storyteller. My job is not to be a policymaker.
Okay, you got people on the internet right now who love Mr. Richard Fowler. I gotta ring that bell. Thank you so much.
I appreciate their love, but no.
Yes, you got that same energy and love from me as well. Thank you so much for coming on the Jaime Dee Show. Really appreciated you. Part 2, maybe part 3, 4, 5, 6. You never know, but you're always welcome back on my platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you have a good rest of your day, and we'll stay connected. All right.
Okay.
All right, see ya. Everybody, that has been the Jaime Dee Show. Let's give Richard another bell ring. He was live on the Jaime Dee Show, live on KSHP AM 1400 and 107.1 FM every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 12 p.m. PST out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and live on WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM every Monday through Friday from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. CST out of the Elgin and the Chicagoland area. You literally never know what we're going to talk about on this show, so make sure you come back and tune in. Like, comment, subscribe, share the link, all right? And if you want to promote your music, business, products, services, and more, hit us up at info@jaimedee.com. That's info@jaimedee.com. info@jaimedee.com. We can guarantee you will get the exposure you need and deserve. All right. Love y'all. See you tomorrow. Bye.